Alright, so what are we doing? So we're making juice. So nothing crazy today, just getting juice prep started. I'll make juice in the morning, and it's a good day to clear out whatever was left over if it was during the week, but essentially get rid of all my stuff in the fridge that I can either turn into a paste, turn into juice. So yeah, we have some leftover lemons, or limón amarillo, we have some limes, limón verde. What I like about having like leftover citrus is it's a good way to balance off some of the sweetness from, say for example, I use a lot of carrot, right? Brightens things up. You can save the juice for just to make, some little bit of brightness in your water. I give you that extra vitamin C, and I think that's a key thing, a key factor of juice. And in this case, I'm going to add it into the stack of greens that I have back there that I got yesterday. When it's all said and done, it weighs roughly 5,000 grams, so 5 kilos, which is about 10.5 pounds. And that's all certified organic produce that I got at the market yesterday. And so within it, I have, let's see here, I believe I have 3 bunches of carrots. I have some kale, red kale, spinach, cucumbers, celery, red leaf lettuce. And so I was weighing this today, and with everything going on with food costs and all of these like SNAP benefits and stuff like that, I wanted to take a look at costs. And so so it's 5 kilos, 5 kilograms, and $50. So it comes out to about $1 a kilo of everything combined. Now the thing though is that from last year to this year, since I've been tracking my whole food diet now for 12 months. If you guys want, I'll do a separate video focusing more on just the whole plant food diet, like whole foods. It's not plant-based, not to mix it with plant-based, because plant-based is different. This would be more, some would call it plant-centric, plant-forward, whole foods diet. So what is the differences between a whole food and plant-based and plant food and all of these plant stuff? Right? It comes down to, so for starters, I'm going to just make a note out there. I'm not vegan. I'm not vegetarian. Doesn't mean I do not appreciate a vegan meal, a good vegan meal done right, a good vegetarian meal done right, because I do. That is actually the way I look at creating menus, creating meals, taking the perspective of a vegan or vegetarian, and how can I make a meal based on that? So the afterthought is the animal protein, because you can slap a piece of beef, fish, chicken on just about anything, right? It's easy to do that. It's harder to do it when it's the other way around. So when you make a meal, when I make a menu, it's vegan, vegetarian first, and then I add the protein. Because essentially, if you can make a full-on meal without adding animal protein to it, you're in a much better place than a lot of chefs out there. One thing to note is I got these oranges last week at Costco and they suck, and it's terrible. I love going to Costco. Sometimes a little too much. But when it comes to like fruit and stuff like that, rarely do I get stuff there. I mean, if you see it, there's like freezer burnt, and yeah, it's unfortunate because it's like how many of you bring like bulk stuff from Costco, right? Your 10, 20-pound bags, and then they start to rot or they're not even that good. You look at this one, it's, I don't know, there's not much in here. Versus like this tangerine that I got yesterday, mandarina, that is ridiculously sweet, right? And easy to peel, and they're fun size. They're good to take. So right now these are in hard season, full season. They're sweet, like really sweet. nice fiber. So for those that have asked, when you juice, you lose your fiber. Yes, you remove the fiber out of the juice. Well, here's a way to get it back. Or if you're looking for a sweetener, you got your green base, which is what I'm going to be making, and you want sweetness or vitamin C, blend this in, you can get your fiber back, because you can always add. You can't take it out. Food for thought. All right. So this is stuff that I had from last week that I'm just going to use as a base. And what's good about this is I'll juice this first. So it'll be the acid, some sweetness, a little bit of tang, and then I can mix that with this green base that I'm going to make. So you can always have like some kind of green. So like, you know, we have kale, we have spinach, we have celery, cucumber. All of that can go into a juice. And depending on how much I got, I might just leave it in there. So we'll see. But the main thing is to make the base, which you'll see here. What else do I have? I also have carrots that I'm already cleaning out. And so that's where we're starting. So we're washing the carrots really well. I don't peel them. I just scrub them down really well. And I scrub them down because there's all this dirt in them. But the thing is that studies have shown that about almost 45% of its nutritional value, the polyphenols that you want, is in the peel itself. So when you peel the carrot, you're actually removing some of that nutrition that you want from the carrot. And as a result, for juice or when I'm going to be roasting them, I don't peel them. So it's not out of laziness. It's not out of, it's because there's nutrition in it. And the other part is that, you know, I mean, if you look at it, you're going to get rid of not only the polyphenols, but you're also removing the fiber. And that's the thing. So it's like, you want fiber in your diet, don't peel them. But in this case, yes, I am juicing, so I am going to be removing the fiber, but I want the rest of the nutrition. And so carrots, the beta carotene that's in them is great for your eye health. And so think of it, it's really beneficial for when it promotes your health at night to see in the dark. So it helps with night vision, you could say. And ironically, so I've been doing whole food dieting now for a year. Definitely a life changer, something that I can say and stand by as changing not only the way like I feel, but, you know, nutrition, mental clarity, gut health, all of that you hear about. I've been able to track that, and I've been able to notice the difference. Not to mention, it connects you back to just the good flavor of food. But more than anything, you know, you get to be what they call the mindful eating. And mindful eating is really when you slow down and take notice of what your body needs. And so that's been a huge one. You know, about a month ago, I had all my routine blood work done, and it was one of the things I was looking forward to seeing, not necessarily getting poked by all the blood work, all the needles, but to have the results. And they've been the best blood results I've had, I think, ever. One of the things also that I noticed is I've had fatty liver for a long time, and it's not from drinking, it's just from eating poorly. And even comparing it to a year ago, my liver enzymes were way over the legal limit, as I call it. That came back great. And this year when I did my eye vision test for the first time in, I want to say, over 10 years, my vision went in the opposite direction. You know, I lowered it by a quarter point. I mean, it got better. And sure, it's a quarter point. Some may say that's nothing, but as you get older, your vision gets worse, right? You know, and I've been wearing glasses for over 30 years. I've never had that happen before. It was always going down, and then it stayed stable for a good 7-8 years, and now for the first time ever, it's gotten better. So that was quite remarkable. So some may ask, what is the big difference with plant-based, plant-centric, plant, vegan, vegetarian, all of these things? And those are great questions. I sometimes even have trouble keeping up with all of the diet trends. For my sake, I keep it simple. Vegan, vegetarian, plant-centric, that's about it. So I just keep it to those three because otherwise People get very confused. If you say plant-based, everyone thinks vegan. Vegan is a form of a plant-based diet. It isn't just plant-based isn't strictly vegan. If that makes sense. So if you are vegan, yes, you are plant-based. But if you're plant-based, it doesn't mean you're necessarily vegan. You can be vegetarian and even non-vegetarian. I believe the threshold, this is where you get technical, of plant-based dieting is that 90% of your intake is based on plant-based foods or plant foods, right? So that means, you can have eggs, you can have cheese, you can even have a piece of meat because you don't have to have dairy. That's where that's the big confusion. So so to me, that way I'd rather just say it either vegetarian, vegan, or plant-centric, plant-forward. And what is plant-forward or a whole foods diet? That's where I just like to break it down as half of your consumption of food is based on plants. The rule of thumb is about a 60-40, right? 60% of your food comes from, or calorie consumption, everything comes from plants, vegetables, fruits, and then the other 40% comes from animal product or animal protein. And so is mine that perfect? Absolutely not. I'm not going to front there. I think of the way I've tracked it, I feel like about 50% of my consumption has gone to vegetables and fruit. My animal protein consumption is about 30%, and then the other dairy, because I don't eat a lot of dairy, but I'm actually lactose intolerant. So I'll purposely be making something like a mac and cheese, a cream sauce, maybe a dessert of some sort. Otherwise, it's not here. So one of the big misconceptions with plant-centric food is your protein, right? Or your fiber. And newsflash, you need fiber regardless if you're any type of diet. You're a human, you need fiber in your diet. And you get that from all your grains, you get that from eating vegetables. Well, there we go. Look at that. I made juice. And unfortunately, nobody could watch it because TikTok somehow said this was inappropriate. So, my apologies. Let TikTok know that I don't understand why we can't make juice on live. So here's the first base. This is the Fuji apples. This has lime, lemon, cucumber. This is a good base right here. And then from here, you can add whatever you want. So this is one of those spots where I say it's like a fork in the road, because right here you can stop. The stopping point for a good juice, Agua Fresca, right? The little tart. It's really good. You can make a badass margarita with that. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of ways to use this base. So you can freeze it like little ice cubes and then take it out and then blend it with whatever you want to add to it. So if you want to add fiber and minerals, you can just destem this and puree it, and you got yourself your green smoothie with some fiber back into it. So, but in my case, we're going to go further. All right, so if anyone's actually watching this is the Breville juicer. It's a centrifuge. They call it cold press, but it's centrifuge. The big difference is centrifuge is it spins everything and catches it in the net to get rid of the pulp or the fiber. Cold press, imagine getting two big sheets of metal and then you just compress it until everything just squeezes out and you don't heat up the product. Because the more it heats up, you start to oxidize and break down the nutrient value of whatever you have in here. So next step, if you wanted to take this a little bit further, add celery, el apio, right? I personally am not a big fan of celery juice. No, I'm not gonna go, quiero some apio juice. No, but it's a good blend. So what I like about this juicer, well, the spout is big. I think it saves you time and not having to like have manzanas, like apples. You can do larger sticks of celery, right? So it does save you some time there. With citrus though, I do peel it still. The peel gives it some bitterness that you don't want. And again, now you still got your lo que parece agua de pepino, agua fresca, right? Now it has the celery in it. Can't even taste the celery, which is great. So if you don't like celery, it's a great way to mask it. You have kids, hijos that don't like apio. Right now, this thing still tastes like lime and lemon. So para los que have picky drinkers, or you can pretty much get away with saying, this is cucumber water just about, right? Agua de pepino, pretty much. All right, what's the next one you can combine it with? Stuff that you'll find most likely at your local juicery. Now they have your spinach. Now it's going to start to get a more green. All right, notice the color, very green, way greener. This is a lot more concentrated. So now you got more green. And from here, you can taste it again. This brings out a little bit of the celery. So this now gives it a little bit more earthiness, but it still goes really well. It's still light. Again, this is a good stopping point, but go further. So now we got curly kale, col rizado. Rizado means curly. Col is kale, but it's also known as cabbage. More people now will say kale. That helps to distinguish. It is very fibrous. So how many of you are very cautious and looking for ways to make sure your skin stays nice and radiant, glows, right? It doesn't just happen by applying stuff. You need to fix it from within, allow it to get better. You want your skin to repair itself, to get nutrients from the inside out. You need stuff like this. So now we got the kale. Now you can start to see it's getting a lot greener, right? And if you taste it, now tiene un sabor más earthy, greener taste. Kale's really strong for that. So if kale might not be your flavor, because it is for a lot of people, then maybe keep it out and then blend it in as you tolerate it or you feel it. You get a little bit of the nutrients. So this to me is a good spot to stop. Right? But not today, because quiero todavía, I still want the carrots. And so then, when you look at, again, skincare, ¿no? Para los que están looking at making your skin glow, you want your skin to be healthy, eat blueberries, right? You get the antioxidants, which are the main source of antioxidants, pero they cost money. A lot of us don't have money right now or don't want to spend it. So an alternativa, blue carrots. So when cooking, you have to cook these separate because they stain all your food, right? But the same thing with juice. However, in this case, like I was saying, night vision, the beta carotene, but then as an extra, you get the anthocyanins, which you would find in blueberries. So, good alternative. Alternative is not replacement. Alternative. Notice the purple pulp. Let's see this thing. Look at this. It looks like beet juice. Now, what does it taste like? It tastes like carrots. So now, you start to see my pintura here. It's going definitely not green anymore. So if you're also looking for a way to get your kids to drink or consume vegetables in their minerals, vegetables, vitamins in their diet, it's a good way to trick the palate a little bit, mask some of the flavors, and this is what I would call natural flavors, not the thing that you find on the label, which I still have yet to understand what that is. All right, well, and then this is the final, right? So now it looks purple. It tastes like carrot juice with a little bit of lime. You know, this is where I'll stop. Yeah, I mean, the other part is I don't have any more vegetables. So, but from here now is where I'll bottle it. Yeah, I'll bottle it and then I'll freeze it. I have 6 bottles here, and I think these are 12 ounces. The thing is, I never fill them up to the top. Usually 2/3, yeah, 2/3 of the way up, max 3/4. Couple reasons there. One, when it freezes, stuff tends to expand a little bit. So you freeze it all the way, you risk thing exploding and it's glass. Two, remember I keep saying this is a base, you know? And right now you can have it as is. It's perfectly fine like that. Keep it chilled and you're good. What I like to do is, again, is utilize it for multi things, right? Defrost it, add some tangerine juice that I might have bought already. Peel a couple tangerines and blend them in. Blend in some fruit. Again, I was saying berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, a banana. Another one, blend in some ginger. I have ginger and I could have added it now, but then my juice will entirely be scoped of ginger. So, shit. There might be times where, yeah, I'll just add it in there and that week I know I have ginger in my juice for the entire week. So then when I freeze them, I'll leave them on its side as much as possible without having to go all the way to the top. So that way when I add stuff in, I can just pour it in. And the surface area is bigger, so it defrosts faster. Or if I put it in some just water, let the sides melt a little bit, I have more room for it to shake, and I can defrost it that way. All right, so now I have 1, 2, 3. So I have 6 bottles, right? Yep. So I'll have this once a day in the morning, or if I forget, if I'm in a hurry, I'll have it later on in the day. Yeah, so here's 6 days worth. And then of course we have the leftovers, which this would be today since I haven't had any yet. So this is today's serving. But yeah, so thanks for joining in, or if anyone did join in. Otherwise, hasta la próxima. Take care.